Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Survivor Social, the Survivor podcast where we discuss Survivor with the focus on the social elements of the game. My name is Tegwyth, and as you can see, my usual co-host David is not with me today, but I do have a very special guest, a very close person to me. My boyfriend, Ryan Cardwell, the Survivor fan, the person who got me into Survivor, is joining us today. Ryan, how are you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going? Great episode, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, before we get into it, I want everyone to know who you are and like your Survivor history. So tell us a little bit about like what got you into Survivor, how long you've been watching, all that good stuff.
Well, I've been watching Survivor since almost the very beginning. I remember the first season when it came on, when it aired like during the summer. My mom was watching it, and I was a little kid, so I was like outside like playing, and I would like come in and like see like a challenge going on and be like, oh cool, and then like go out and like keep playing. But then with like most of America, I tuned in after the Super Bowl for season 2, and I haven't stopped watching. There was like a brief middle period where I fell off like in the teens, but I came back just in time for Heroes versus Villains. So
good man. I'm really excited to dig in this episode. I mean, we've got so much to talk about today. Obviously, one of the best episodes, one of the most exciting episodes of the new era all time. I don't even know. But before we start, as always, make sure to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify. And if you have hot takes of your own that you want to be heard, send us a message on Instagram at Survivor Socialites or our email, which you can see right below here, survivorsocialpod@gmail.com, and we will read them here. I didn't see any emails today. I could be wrong, but I do want to start off, as we normally do, with a question for our guests. So, Ryan, what is your favorite idol play of all time?
Of all time? I mean, like there's so many like the double play in what was David versus Goliath was great, where the two the advantages, but Parvati's is, I mean, iconic. But I'd have to pick, probably, I feel like it's probably the same one as yours, where Natalie's like, Jacqueline, did you vote for who I told you to? And then she like plays it and basically secures her win like right then and there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good. And we are doing something a little bit different today. We are live on TikTok, which we do some of the time, and we're also live here. So if you have any questions throughout the episode, I want to get to as many as possible. So whenever we're talking about something and you have a question or something that you want to talk about, make sure to put it in the comments. We want to read it here. We want to read it out here and make sure that y'all are involved. So make sure to comment any questions, concerns, anything that you have about the episode, but let's get into it. We are so excited to talk about such a wild episode. So we start off back at Bello, right after the vote. We see the fallout of, or lack thereof, of the Brando vote.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about Kendra's reaction to that, everything?
Well, she definitely handled it like the way that you're supposed to handle it when you get like blindsided. You go back, great move, guys. If I would have known, I would have done it with you. Yep. And she played it really well, and she saved it for the confessional, where she was like, on the outside, I was calm and collect, but I'm coming for you, Emily. So I thought that was a good move on her part.
Yeah, I totally agree. I will say I'm a little bit shocked, not really that shocked, but I was a little bit shocked that she wasn't going to be coming after like Drew or Austin, but it was Emily, the person that she was coming after. And I was shocked. I don't know why. I felt like they maybe had a pre-existing relationship, but when I think about it, that's probably why she wants to come for Emily.
They did have a pre-existing relationship, because back on the first episode, the twist that we didn't see was Kendra going to the Lulu tribe. And according to comments about that when it happened, Kendra felt really close to Emily. So she probably, like in this swap, had felt that Emily was already going to side with her.
Interesting. I kind of feel that too. And Kendra played it by the book exactly how I think any of us would have probably played it. Chris says, I think Kendra had a bit of a grudge against Emily before the swap anyway. That's interesting. I feel like that is, I feel like that might have been the case but we don't know how she voted, do we? When she did that secret vote, because I don't think I know how she voted.
Chris was asking how come she went to Lulu. Back on the first episode, there was a twist that we didn't see with the winner of the first winner of the challenge would send somebody back to camp with the losers, and then they would secretly cast a vote for that tribal council. I think it was revealed later that she voted for Brandon.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that. So that's interesting. So that's all we see back at Bella. Though I do want to say we don't normally talk about the theme song here, but I will say, have you all been watching the hidden like little thing that they hide in the theme song? Because this time a lot of people around the world are saying on the internet are saying that they were spoiled for the ending of the episode because of what was in the theme song. Were you? Did you think that indicated the shot in the dark die was going to work?
Well, I was multitasking at the time, so I was cooking while the theme song was playing, so I missed it entirely. But I did feel like other context clues throughout the episode led me to believe that he was going to be safe.
Yeah, I totally get that. All right, so now after the theme song, we're going to Lulu. We see that there is an idol search party. Kaleb tells people that this is kind of where Sabiyah found her idol. It's a lot of people looking for the idol. And then we see Bruce finds a Beware advantage. They also found a snake. They also found, they found friendship along the way. Bruce found a Beware advantage. Everyone knew about it, right? So everyone knew.
Except for Katurah.
You're right, except for Katurah. Katurah did not know about it. So everyone was covering for Bruce. We had Jake digging through the finding his ring, lost his ring. We had Kelly as a lookout. What did you think about all of that and Bruce sharing all of that information?
Well, it definitely seemed like they were a close group. So it's something I don't think that I feel like Bruce was always going to tell his alliance, and he definitely needed that group to be able to find the idol within the time, because I think they said you have 10 minutes, and I'm pretty sure it's not like a hard 10 minutes, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to give you 20 minutes to keep digging on the beach for I don't know, for
all that stuff. And then, we were told, drop your buffs, mergatory, not a merge. They never said merge. They just said, you're going on to the same beach. And he had a little bit of time to find it, but then he runs and tells everyone that he got his vote back.
Yeah.
And that he tells, who does he tell? He tells Kaleb, Kelly, he tells Jake.
They were all around him. He just picked up the clue and showed them all because they were all in the same area.
But when I'm saying when he found the actual Beware, when he found his actual idol, he was by himself, and then he goes and tells them. This is not a hot take. Don't tell people. don't tell people. I think he could have played it a couple of different ways. I feel like he could have said hey, I got my vote back at the merge, so I just didn't want to have a target on my back, so I just stopped looking, or whatever. Just the fact that everyone and somebody, and it's not only at least Jake and Kelly, it's also Kaleb, who is somebody who was not on your original tribe, which we'll talk about later, becomes an issue, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like that whole thing was a little not the best step, in my opinion. But at least he got his vote back. What do you think would have happened if he didn't find it? Do you think he would have not had a vote, or would he have gotten it back?
Well, it's until the merge, so I would assume he wouldn't have had his vote for this singular tribal council.
Oh, and he would have gotten it at the actual merge. That makes sense.
Because I think they read it. There's a little in tiny text. There's you'll get it back if this doesn't happen.
Now, going back a little bit, after we hear the Mergatory and that, this is going to happen, we go to all of the beaches. Everyone's very excited, as they should be. But I thought it was funny when we go to Reba, J. Maya is like, oh my gosh, we should write welcome in the sand and like bring them all in. And Julie's like, no, I don't. No, I'm tired. I don't want to do that.
She's like, I'm too tired.
And then nobody does it with J. Maya. It's just J. Maya like alone on the beach writing welcome. I just was like, what was that?
But then when everybody's showing up, notice everybody gathers around the welcome. Like, look what we did,
look what we did for you. But yeah, I mean, maybe other people actually helped and they just didn't show it. But it just seemed like she was doing it by herself. And that made me sad because she seems Jay said exactly what I was just about to say. J. Maya seems so sweet. And I totally agree. I just like, oh my gosh, she just seems so kind. And I just was sad that she was doing it by herself. But we digress. We move on. We go, and it is actually everyone on one beach. Obviously, a lot of commotion, a lot of things happening. You're getting to know people. I saw a really funny tweet. I think it was from Mike Bloom, where he was like, it's like having a crossover episode of your favorite TV shows, because it's just been such long episodes and we really get to know these people. And it's funny to see people interact with each other. And I could not agree more, because that's kind of how I felt. I was like, so excited to see everyone together and like talking, and it was so weird. But we're at the Merge Beach, or not the Merge Beach, the Mergatory Beach. And Reba, specifically D, well, all of Reba is like, oh my God, we see Austin and Drew. Oh, and D goes, we can't be too happy. We can't be too happy.
She's always playing.
Always playing. But my question is we all know that you're excited to see your other Reba people.
And regardless, everybody's on one beach, so everybody's going to be celebrating either way.
I mean, I guess I would probably say the same thing. Like, don't be too excited. Chill it down a little bit. But like, okay, let's be real. You didn't want one of your people to go. You wanted Brit, whatever. But I get it. But D then, the reason why I bring this up is because D then goes and says, Drew and Austin are the people that I trust, that D trusts the most in the game.
And she didn't mention Julie.
And she didn't mention Julie, which I find quite interesting, because I thought that D and Julie were like this. We're like so close. And so I need to know more about that. I wanted to hear more about that.
She probably, seeing also that they have like some advantages, I feel like maybe I'd feel more inclined if she probably feels like almost as close to Julie, but she's like, if I have to pick, I'm going with like an idol and amulet.
I guess that makes sense. But also, wouldn't you want to get people with the idol and the amulet out? Because then, what if, which is true, that Drew and Austin are a closer pair, and then it comes to where they actually have to get somebody out. I don't know. I feel like you need a number one, not to be a third in a three.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like it's very obvious 2 and 2, but I don't know. I thought that was a very interesting confessional. And I wonder if that was just like her choice of words, but I don't know. I just thought it was incredibly interesting. We then get a Kaleb confessional where he's really excited to be on the same beach. The same beach with his quote, number one ally, Emily, which was music to my ears. How do you feel about the Kaleb and Emily duo?
It's from like the first episode when she called him out to like be her target, and now them to be like so tight, and like later on, like there's like that huge like quick swap where she's like, they're coming for you. It's so great that they're like close together.
It's so good.
And it's an alliance also that you don't like expect. I don't know. It's what everybody.
And
like,
here's why I think that it's like one of the best alliances that we've seen in recent time. It's not only that they are close, because Jam, Carolyn, and Carson were close, and they're not saying, I'm not saying they aren't a great alliance. They are a great alliance, but it's just like, who else we've had so many people who were so close in Survivor. But the thing is they are not playing together right now. They are, but what it seems like is they're not overtly playing together.
Yeah.
Right? Emily is playing with Reba. Kaleb, I always do that. I always call him Austin. Kaleb is in theory playing with Bello, and they're not really as overtly together, which is so great. I love that. I love when I see people, and it must be so hard to trust somebody who you're not talking to all the time.
Yeah. Especially to have like a couple like days, like what is it, like 4 or 5 days away from them, where you're not like you have no communication except for maybe a couple hours, like where you're doing a challenge, but you can't even like, focus on anything else.
I was talking to somebody recently. I was probably the other Ryan. We have a friend named Ryan who loves Survivor and Big Brother, and he was saying that there have been like people in like specifically Big Brother seasons who have kept up alliances just by like doing less than a minute long talks in the hallway. And that just would be like such stressful gameplay for me. I'm somebody who like checks my phone all the time to see if I got that email that I was waiting for, or like, you know, all of that stuff. And I just am like, what if I am a communicative person? And the fact that, you know, you can keep that trust with somebody without communicating as much, I think is really impressive and shows that bond that they do have that was built on that Lulu Beach. So he says that he wants Emily and him to be the swing vote, which would be
generally the case.
The case. Yeah. That would be the most obvious thing. Remind me, are the numbers even? How many Reba are there?
There's
Sifu, D, Julie.
There's one more Reba than Bello, right? Because Bello got rid of Brando.
So they literally would be the swing vote, because if the two Lulu voted with Bello, with Bello, they could swing it to another side. So that's pretty interesting. We obviously know that that's not what ends up happening. A spoiler alert to the people who know what happens. I
feel like it could have, though.
It could have, yeah.
It provided a different like the other group winning.
Yeah. But while we see everyone on the same beach, we see a great line we get from Katurah. Yep, that's Bruce brucing. Like, so funny, so good. She's just great. But we then see Kendra telling Bruce all that happened at the last vote, which is an interesting. I mean, they're both Bello, right? That makes sense. But it's interesting when we see what happens later in the episode when. Skipping a little bit of stuff, when they go to the merge feast, air quotes, she and Bruce are throwing Kaleb under the bus. And Katurah, who is also in Bello, is not happy about that.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think that stems from? Like that kind of like, do you think that Kendra and Bruce have like a pretty strong bond that we just haven't seen yet?
I mean, I feel like it's just the whole group of Lulu together, because in that conversation she said, Emily, I thought Emily was with me, and she flipped, and Bruce was like, oh, so she is playing or something like that. And it could just be that the other two are like, or that they're saying that the other two Lulus are just on the outs and let's just go for the quote easy vote. But they could see like they have that equally against Emily, but then there's also like they see like Kaleb, this like social butterfly. They're like, it's two like strong like contenders players, yeah. And they just went with something that like everybody else was probably talking about. Yeah. And we're skipping a little bit, but you know, I like this kind of conversation. We have a comment from Jay. J.E. says, that surprised me because Kendra indicated at the start of the episode that she didn't trust Emily before. Jay, I totally agree with you. When they were at that merge feast and essentially she was like, no, I want to go for Kaleb, not Emily, when she was just like, I want to avenge Brando, and to avenge Brando, I'm going to get out Emily. And so I thought that was a really interesting twist or like a turn in Kendra's mindset. And I really want to know where that came from, because I think it has to have come from Bruce, right? Bruce's leadership. Yeah. Right. I think it has to have. So Austin tells, now we're back at the merge beach earlier. Austin tells Dee and Julie about the amulet that Jay really wanted the amulet. Mm-hmm. Jay was the one that was gunning for the amulet. He wanted a sandwich. How dare someone keep him from his sandwich? And the amount of times like sandwich was said this episode. Yeah, it was really good for the sandwich lobby. Really, really good. Oh wait, so we've got some comments here. Let's go back really quickly. Chris, pardon me. Chris says, I think Kelly and Kendra always liked Bruce from the start, just weren't aligned with him. But now it's changed, and I think Kendra is more pro Bruce and Kelly is anti. Interesting. I feel like that could be true.
We also have another comment from Jay. Yeah, it seems like Bruce and Kendra are closer than that was shown. Totally agree. Totally agree with all of that. But it's very interesting that Reba is willing to kind of throw Jay under the bus so quickly. We see it happen so many times throughout the episode. They're like, Jay's going to come for me. Jay's coming for us. Jay's coming for us.
Yeah, they have the numbers and they're already willing to like turn on themselves. I feel like it could be like the stronger group in Reba, like the 4, might think we already look like such huge targets. So what if we go ahead and start cannibalizing ourselves to like get the target off the rest of our backs?
That's a pretty good take. I would say that I had not thought about that. That's probably exactly right. And honestly, I honestly kept thinking that targeting Jay was a really bad move, but putting it into that perspective, it's probably a really good move for Austin, Drew, Dee, and Julie. That's interesting. What do you guys think about that? So everyone is saying, like I said, everyone is saying that Jay is going to cut people whenever she can. My question is what are we missing in the edit that is indicated? Because she's welcoming people. She's putting out signs. She's laying out the red carpet.
She's probably singing them songs.
She's probably singing them songs.
She's probably allowed to sing her own songs on there. If she told the producers, I give you the rights for my songs.
I wonder. That's so funny. That's so interesting. I hadn't even thought of that. But yeah, I just feel like I don't see Jay Maya flipping on anybody. She literally took the fall for Dee.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see that kind of gamer player is gonna. But clearly we're missing something.
She was clearly buying into the Reba women a lot more than the other 2 Reba women were.
And I wonder if because Dee thinks that she's so close with, not thinks, but like maybe is so close with Austin and Drew, she does not like that it's like Jay Maya trying to stick with the women. Sorry, we have a question from Chris. Chris asks, I'm wondering why Sifu isn't copping any heat. Did they view Sifu as a goat and Jay as a threat? It's a good question. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it seemed a lot of people were annoyed a lot by Sifu like early on, but they wanted to use him for strength. But I don't know. I don't think they see him strong in an individual immunity sense. But so I feel like they probably feel they could easily take him out later on, but have him as a loud person to distract from maybe what they're doing, like hidden behind him.
Yeah. I also wonder if Sifu, maybe they don't see him as much of a social threat because Jay Maya is so kind. I'm not saying Sifu isn't, but because she is so like overtly welcoming and like trusting, maybe that they see that as a more social threat, which in the individual game is a bigger threat than a physical threat usually. So I think maybe all of those things are contributing factors. I'm not gonna lie, I am kind of surprised at the lack of heat that Sifu is getting also. So
I think the heat was also doused a little bit by Jay wanting to go, like strongly going for the amulet. Because whenever we saw Austin telling them about her wanting to choose the amulet, he said that she was the most adamant about going for the strategy over the sandwich.
Yeah, I think that's probably a really good take. Last but not least, at this part, I'm sorry, I'm coughing. The most important part of the episode, definitely not the shot in the dark, the stick bug, the one, the only.
The hero of the episode.
The hero of my life. That stick bug is iconic. Who told me this recently, that all stick bugs are, or did I hear it on a podcast, that all stick bugs are women? And that
I was with you. Somebody else mentioned
it. I don't know who it was. Could have been a podcast, could have been whatever.
I think it might have been Ryan earlier. I don't know.
And I'm obsessed with that. That's amazing. Stick bug jamming out, killing it. And then the fact that Drew was like, why are people doing things over here and having a good time? We need to strategize. We need to go. But I think that is just such a great, things like this you could do with 90-minute episodes. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so we continue on. It starts to rain. Sifu is obsessed with it. He loves it. And I think that's hysterical.
I feel like there's always somebody who like they'll give the confessional like it's only making me stronger.
Yeah, usually. I feel like that usually happens. Stick bug for All Stars, absolutely.
I wonder if the stick bug has a Twitter account yet.
That's hysterical. So Kaleb is happy. Kaleb talks about how he's really happy that Emily is with Reba and Kaleb is with Bello. But then we see Kaleb talking to a lot of Rebas, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do see the edit of Kaleb talking to Sifu. He was talking to, I think he talked to Jay for a second, all this stuff. And then it cuts to Bruce saying, Caleb's not talking to anybody. Bello, what is with that? He hasn't talked to me. He hasn't been talking to you. And that was to Kendra. And even Bruce says Bello is not talking.
But then there's also like in the background of while Bruce is talking about no one talking to him, you can see that there's like everybody's like sitting with like Kaleb like talking to him like in the background just like over there, and like Bruce is like
Yeah, and I honestly, that is the moment I feel like where when Reba heard that Bruce is willing to go for a Lulu and not a Reba, Drew, he heard Bruce talk to Drew, he talked to Austin. He was like, Austin. He was like, let's go for Kaleb. Let's go for this Lulu. Common ground, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Austin knew that he could give up his vote, right? Everyone would be voting for one way. That was the turn. And it was the fact, and I could be wrong, but I feel like it was just because Kaleb wasn't overtly just talking to
definitely, yeah,
Bello, like the kind of old school, Boston Rob style, only talk to the people that you are working with and nobody else.
Kind of what Bruce wanted to do.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that kind of is when we started hearing Caleb's name go around and all of that stuff. Kaleb wants to be the most likable. We see him going around. He's the belle of the ball. He's talking to everybody. He is very likable. He's the Canadian. He's going around. He's so fun and happy and smiley and great. And then we hear a confessional. We hear the first negative confessional from Kelly about Bruce.
Oh, yeah.
Which was very interesting because we had really only been hearing a lot of the negative confessionals about Bruce from Katurah. We heard a couple from Kaleb, but we heard Kelly say, quote, he's impossible to play with. So that is an interesting confession that we got, hearing somebody else talk that way about Bruce. But we move on to the immunity challenge, which we know is my favorite part of the episode. That's a lie. But it is the Mergatory. So they split into some groups. 13 people to 2 teams of 6. Right? 13? Yeah. 2 teams of 6. We have on the blue, Bruce, Austin, Drew, Sifu, Julie, and Kendra. And then on the red, we have Kaleb, Emily, Dee, J. Maya, Kelly, and Jake. And then we have Katurah in the middle. She was shocked. She was so, her face.
Her jaw dropped. Yeah.
Dropped so hard. She ended up choosing blue.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you have chosen? Which team would you have chosen?
Definitely blue. They looked stronger, but I feel like the key is usually to go with where most of your alliance is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And then I feel like I probably would have chosen red. And I would have chosen wrong. Kelly has a great line. Kelly says, I've never been afraid of big dudes. I need that on a shirt ASAP. She's an icon for saying that. But we do see blue ends up winning. Katurah was right to choose blue. And all of these people are safe and get to go to the merge feast. I talked about it last week. I'll talk about it until I'm blue in the face. I want a regular merge feast.
Well, before we get to the feast, I want to say, like, with the challenge, I thought it was very interesting how maybe the last few times strength has come like very like heavily into it, but this time they put 2 puzzles into it, so it made it you rely on like both more.
Yeah, I will say the second puzzle, the whatchamacallit, what is it called? The
Rebus puzzle.
Rebus puzzle, that was so easy. That was what was that called? A game within a game. We don't need the game within the game in the game. Started the game within the game. But blue wins. We go to the feast, the merge feast. Drew wants to make love to butter. I just want to make sure that everyone remembers that. remembers that moment. I wonder what happened when Drew saw that on television. I feel like his jaw probably dropped.
I mean, if you've only been eating like a couple fish or like a fruit or like salt water for like a couple of weeks, and then you bit into like, imagine just like a piece of bread with like some melted butter on top of it.
I mean, when I
That'd be
break my
great.
fast every morning, it's great. I'm not gonna lie, but we have a comment on the TikTok live over here. Somebody asks, "Do you love each other as much as Austin loves sandwiches?" Jury's still out. We love each other a lot, but jury is out on that one because Austin loves his sandwiches. And then we have another comment from Fabian. Yes, they always complain about the hunger. Production, please give them something to eat at the merge. Yes. And here's the thing.
Wouldn't mind a little bag of rice or something.
Yeah, give them something. Give the people who lose some food. But also, I think the merge feast is the best way to get to know people. There's something in the air that is making me cough. I don't know what it is. But the merge feast is just such a great way to get to know people because I think it was Sifu who said it this episode. Drew. Drew was like, people's guard is everyone lets their guard
Oh, yeah.
down.
And then right after that, you see like Sifu like downing like a beer. And
Yeah, literally. And that is the truth. And I feel like that is such a vital way for people to continue to make alliances. One of the things that I feel like I miss in the new era that we used to have are people breaking from their original tribes. Now, granted, they will turn on people in their own tribe, but we don't really see a ton of cross-tribal alliances that go the distance. And I kind of feel like it's because they're split up so much still.
Yeah.
The next episode, they're still going to be split up into two groups and voting. There's not a lot of time for people to actually come together and make a vote. And now I know that a lot of past Survivor players actually kind of like the Mergatory twist because it's a little bit easier to find a vote for somebody. But if they're still split up like this, if there's always in multiple groups, I feel like it's not ever going to continue on. Can I have some of that? Oh no. Oh no. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What is your thoughts on the merge feast?
It's fun seeing everybody like finally like get to like eat something or whatever, but I don't know. Like you could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I would prefer everybody to have it, or because I don't know, like there was a season like a couple seasons ago maybe where it was like right after they got rice where you could see like everybody like they could like think like more clearly.
Yeah. Literally.
And you could see them like starting to come alive and like they were like strategizing more. And I feel like that would just be something that would benefit the game a little bit more.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I think that, the merge feast is amazing. And we have a little bit of a commercial break really quickly. And when we come back, we will be talking a little bit more about what happens back at the merge tribe.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more superfans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a superfan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
All right, and we are back, I think. So we both really needed water, and honestly, I feel a lot better. I was just dehydrated. All right, so we're back at the tribe. J Maya really wants Luda to go home and is throwing Kaleb out. Probably the right move. What are your thoughts on that?
She was also talking to Jake at the time, and because the people who were at the feast still hadn't came back yet, so it seemed very like if she could get like a couple of her people and he could get a couple of his people, they were money.
Money, exactly. But we then see D. D starts talking about how D wants J Maya gone. And now everyone is talking about how, it's going to be J Maya. It's actually going to be J Maya. This is before the merge people come back. Why, why are they going for J Maya so hard?
Also at the merge, they kept talking about J Maya until Caleb's name was brought up. Yeah. So I feel like it was just a name that has been like talked about quite a bit. That everybody's comfortable to say J Maya's name. Everybody can say J.
Yeah.
It's a letter. You can
it's a
say
letter.
It.
Anyone can say it. Anyone can say it. We continue on. We're still at the feast. Like I said earlier, Couture really wants to keep Kaleb. But Reba is happy to vote Kaleb. And when Bruce is telling everyone to vote Kaleb, then why not vote Kaleb, you know? They really want to make sure that they blindside Kaleb. So no one is supposed to tell Kaleb that it's happening or give any hints. Emily is sitting there. Obviously, this is upsetting Emily, but she wants to keep their relationship as under the radar as possible. She does say, like, I mean, if we save him, he'll be eternally grateful. And then we hear Couture, who said
Kendra's
this?
like,
Kendra.
That's not how Survivor works.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but then you see Emily's like, that's exactly how it works because she's experienced it. Now she's eternally grateful to Kaleb.
Exactly. So that all happened, but then a great editing moment where they're like, gotta make sure Kaleb does not ever figure out. And then cuts to Emily. Yeah, so they're voting you, and it's like shot in the dark voting you. Such a good editing moment. Emily saving Kaleb twice now. Iconic. They keep saving each other. It's just like Kaleb saves Emily. Emily saves Kaleb. Just like, I love that relationship. How do you if somebody comes to you, your closest ally, and they are like, you got to play your shot in the dark, you're going to 100% do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
because it wouldn't benefit. There's no benefit to them either way for the shot in the dark unless like you stay.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
So I feel like they'd more likely rather point your vote in a different way than make you throw away a shot in the dark that could end up falling back against them.
Right. I mean, exactly. And now, I will say one of the things that I was kind of upset about with this, and obviously it was a random rock draw, the fact that Kaleb and Emily were on the same tribe and they were on the losing tribe again. These poor people keep losing. It's not fair. Emily has been to all but one tribal council. That is criminal. Criminal, I tell you. And Lulu has been to every single tribal council, and Jake's like, I'm nervous. It's my first tribal council. Jake!
He's like, Kaleb, tell me how do you survive tribal council? And he's like, I'll show you later.
I'll show you. Like, oh my gosh. But we go to tribal. We're at 13 people, and Jeff is like, let's get fire. Oh, that's crazy. No, it's not. That's not crazy at 13. But they're getting fire and they're talking. Now, prior to the actual votes being cast, some interesting things happened. Kaleb threw out J Maya's name. Does not happen that often.
Yeah.
What did you think about that strategy, how it was handled? Let me know your thoughts.
So I thought it was good that he definitely needed to throw out a name. If he didn't throw out a name, I mean, regardless, his pitch didn't work. Mm-hmm. But like, you have to throw out a name because otherwise there's no one that everybody else is going to like willing to like pile up on. And typically, like when you throw out a name like Kaleb did, you're throwing out a name that you're hearing everybody else already say. Mm-hmm. So
exactly. Now I will say he also said, I'm worried about the Women's Alliance.
Oh yeah, I feel like that was a bit unnecessary for him to also bring up Dee and Julie, because you heard like as soon as Dee like heard her name, I feel like she didn't care anymore like what Kaleb said. She was like ready to like get him out.
Yeah, exactly. And I felt like you could see it in her demeanor. Like she changed. She got like, oh, what? No. And it wasn't even like he wasn't even throwing her name out, right? It was just like,
it would lower your threat level if you did this.
Exactly. She was like, so what am I threatening?
Yeah.
That was interesting. I will say the fact that Kaleb did say though that I am the biggest threat. He did. He said that.
Yeah.
No, don't say that until you really, I guess he had to. I guess he really had to. But like, don't say that.
I feel like he could have said maybe I'm the biggest social like butterfly, but have we seen like any of these individual challenges? Like what? Like he
True.
could like. There's other like strong people here that could easily beat me. What if it's like a puzzle? I'm horrible at puzzles.
Yeah.
He could like. I don't know if he's bad at puzzles, but you know.
Yeah, that's all true. And I did kind of like the drama though. I was there for the drama.
When
of
Dee was
Tribal.
like, "Who else is a threat, Kaleb? You want to say someone else's
And
name?"
he's like, I'm happy with what I said. Honestly, good response from Kaleb though. He's like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm cool with what I said. I've stopped talking. I don't need to talk anymore. I thought that was really interesting. And then we go to the vote. Austin does not vote, as we know. Kaleb goes and he yells, Jay, in a real Penner fashion. That was so funny. And we find out that he did, in fact, play the shot in the dark. And that the shot in the dark worked.
We need an Emmy for Jeff Probst. He opened that with like the stone cold face.
He really
was
did.
like, safe.
Like literally, it was so good. Now let's talk about the shot in the dark. I've got a question on the TikTok live. Fabian asks, didn't Kaleb's shot in the dark look a little sus? Production tampering? He was 100% going the home. He then goes, the shot in the dark has never worked until last season. The odds of it working are just too low. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's like, it's an edited show, of course,
Right.
so we don't really like see everything, but I feel like it doesn't like, if they were to be caught doing something like this, it would hurt them more than
This moment would help them.
This moment would help them.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I always thought that it was a little weird that it wasn't just a roll of the die.
Yeah,
and
that
that
you didn't actually just like roll it on the table.
Yeah.
Right there.
I'm not saying that I think that production tampered at all, but I always just thought it was like, it's shot in the dark die. Let them roll a die.
Instead of
I don't know.
just pulling a scroll.
Out of the thing. I don't think it looked suspicious. I think it was because like if you think about it, most of the other shot in the darks that have been played, Zach Wurtenberger was a unanimous vote against him. That would be incredible. That would have been incredible if his had worked. Claire Rafson's, again, a unanimous vote against Claire. That would have been incredible if it worked. So there have been times where it would have been really amazing for it to have worked. And it just so happened this one time. It's a 1 in 6 shot, right?
Yeah.
We've seen it how many times?
I think this is now our 10th time seeing it and be played, and it would be our second time seeing it hit. So right now we're averaging a 1 in 5.
1 in 5.
So it seems slightly better than what we have, but
Yeah.
who knows? We could see the next like 15 times it's played, like not safe, but
yeah,
also,
or it could be safe every time. The thing about odds, I learned this from my mom, she's a stats teacher, is it's a 1 in 6 chance every time you do it. So it's not like at 1 in 6 times it's going to work. There is a 1 in 6 chance when you're doing it right now that it'll work. Usually if it's like 50-50, it'll end up going to 50-50, but it's just like a very interesting thing. So I get what you're saying, Fabian. I understand what you're saying. I've been there before. My brain has been there before, but I just feel like it's too risky.
I mean, I feel like if production really wanted to keep him around, they could have easily like, hey, why don't you go look under that palm frond over there? And he could have found an idol.
I feel like they would tamper with it in that way more than they would other way around. Chris agrees with you. Chris says, yeah, I agree with Ryan. If Survivor was truly rigged and tampered with it, it wouldn't be up to 45 seasons. I totally agree with you. I don't think it happened. We got that amazing thing that happened. And then
when he showed safe, I'm sure you guys might have seen Tegwyth's video so far, but like I feel like I couldn't hear, and I was like in a war zone, like still ringing.
I yelled so loud, and my poor cats, who are sitting right over here, were probably freaked out. Luckily, our apartment is pretty soundproof, or else probably somebody thought I was getting like attacked. I yelled so loud. It was so funny. If you haven't seen the video of my reaction, it's on both my Instagram and my TikTok. It's pretty funny. I like showed 4 different people today. I literally did. But what happens next when they read the like safe? Jeff's like, okay, let's talk. Well, let me just say before that, it is when everyone jumps and says it's so excited. Everyone's so excited and
Oh,
happy.
you see J
And then
Maya.
J Maya is so sad. Like it's really upsetting to me how sad she was. I was so excited. I was so happy. And in my video, you see me jumping up and down. And then I go, oh, but look at J Maya. Like she just like immediately is so upset. It's just like that's what this game is, high highs and low lows, man. But we start talking and Jeff like people start talking. I personally didn't love that he had people start talking, or at least I personally would have preferred that they just stayed in their seats and talked. I felt like it was a little weird.
Rehab tribal council and everybody just like kind of like have the open forum and speak. I don't know. That would have probably been interesting. It could have led to something different.
I think that would have been interesting. So we see J Maya going after Emily.
Mm-hmm.
That was scary. I mean, I love J Maya too, but that was scary.
I feel like it seemed like that should have been an easy fallback. That I don't know why that they didn't do that.
I think it's because Emily has ingratiated herself so well with the Rebas.
I feel like the Rebas definitely think of Emily before they think of like J Maya, maybe even Sifu. I don't even know.
Well, I would even argue that when Emily is like, well, he'll always be indebted to us or whatever, I would argue that Austin and Drew are probably very happy that Emily voted with them, and not that they feel indebted to her, but they probably have some sort of, oh my God, well, if she didn't go with us, one of us would be gone. Mm-hmm. And I bet you that's in their head. And so I feel like because the Rebas are so like, I feel like they probably feel that way about Emily. They are probably just like, that's got to be off the table. And they're willing to go after one of their own. They're willing to go after J Maya. And very sadly, we see J Maya go home this episode. Ryan, tell me a little bit what your thoughts are on like J Maya's overall arc on Survivor.
Well, J Maya was my preseason winner pick.
She was. I forgot about that. She was. Oh.
It seemed like just from the very beginning, you saw that group of like 4 Rebas come together, and I was always worried like they might be talking about like maybe wanting to vote out Sifu, but they're not talking about wanting to include Jay. So I definitely feared around like a swap or merge of her being like just left behind.
Yeah. I also will say, I just posted a video about this earlier today, but I'm really upset about her criminal, under editing with her and being in the season, and the fact that, we didn't really get to know her that well. She's a very amazing story, and we didn't really hear most of it. We, didn't really get to know her as well. I was saying that I personally think that happened because they wanted us to be so excited about this. They didn't want us to realize that everyone they cast now are so amazing, right? They're so great. And I really feel like they wanted us to be happy that Kaleb stayed versus us being sad that J Maya left because we liked her so much. And that's just me probably looking into things too much, because if I had gotten to know J Maya more, I think that I would have been happy for a moment and then just been like, oh my God, well, not now my favorite person's leaving.
I feel like that would have made it even like a more powerful moment. Imagine if they had been like building up J Maya so much from the beginning and building up Kaleb, so that you're like, you're so happy that Kaleb saved, but then you also like your like stomach falls out and you're like, oh no, it's gotta be Jay.
It's gotta be. Oh, it was just so brutal. And I just want to say, J Maya, if you ever see this, I really loved you on the season, and I'm really sad to see you go in such a way. But if this helps at all, you are part of probably one of the most memorable tribal councils of all time. And probably doesn't help at all, but it is there. It is there.
I mean, if she also was she took it on the chin. Like if I was there and somebody hit safe for their shot in the dark and it sent me out, I would be cussing. I'd be breaking the set. I would have security would be like carrying me to Ponderosa. I would be so mad about that. I don't know.
Yeah, she did. She took it really well. So overall, probably one of the most exciting episodes I've seen. And I said that about the Sabaya one too. I want to say that Sabaya vote was amazing. And this season, I'm really high on this season. How are you feeling about 45?
I mean, getting to know just like all the characters, all the people, it helps.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So now, I mean, I know I said this at the beginning of the video, but we are taking some questions live in the comments right now. And this could be about the season, Survivor in general, the social gameplay, which is what we like to talk about, or just about this episode. We do have a question from the TikTok Live. I know it's early, but do we have any inkling to a top 3? I used to be anti-Emily, but after this episode, I've kind of love her. Currently, I'm feeling more Kaleb, Emily, and maybe one more. Bruce, Katora, Jake. What do you think? Final 3.
Well, from the very first episode, I said Emily gave what I believe is the winner quote of the season. She said, I'm not here for the experience. If I don't win, I want to be voted off first. So,
and then she almost was.
Yeah. So I feel like
interesting.
Yeah.
So who else do you think will be there with her?
Let's see. I feel like Kaleb seems like definitely like a shield for her. So I don't think she could manage to get to the end with Kaleb.
Okay.
Let's see. I said on one of those sweepstakes that we entered for the live episode, I said Kelly.
Okay.
I don't know. I've gotten some like good feelings about her because like she seems like wanting to go ahead and flip against her group because of like not trusting Bruce anymore because Bruce is like kind of strong arming her. So she might see that as a way out, but I don't know. I don't know about the third.
I definitely think Emily is either going out to fire, maybe, or making it to the final 3. That is what I mean. I think that she's like, I was talking to the other Ryan today, and he was saying, and which I totally agree. Like maybe, not Mike White, David Wright position going out like in the fallen angel like area. I think that could like Jesse, just somebody who we feel was robbed almost. So I feel like that could be, or go to the final 3, which I would freaking love. So that I definitely think. I could see probably Austin making it to the end.
He's got a lot in his pocket.
He has a lot in his pocket, and I worry that all he talks about are his advantages. From what I see, mostly advantages, sandwiches. Both are lovely and amazing. But we don't see a lot of strategy talk other than that from him.
That's true.
And so I wonder if maybe he gets taken to the end by maybe Drew. Because Drew feels like maybe he can differentiate his game so much.
I had strategy where you just
had stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe if that is the case and it's Emily, Austin, Drew, Emily is the one that takes it all. But I kind of feel like it could be something like that. I saw somebody in the comments over here saying maybe D. I could definitely see D. Honestly, I could see a lot of people. I could see somebody taking Sifu to the end.
I mean, I feel like D has got a lot of like good stuff like early on that for like they weren't going to tribal, but I don't know. We learned about D's toe, so that could carry her to the end.
That's so funny. So we have 2 questions that are pretty similar. We have Jay asks, who do we think are the 2 people most likely to be eliminated in the next episode based on the edit? And then somebody in the comments over here is asking about predictions for the next episode.
So it was about the time that we got the Kelly confessional where she said about like Bruce's like gotta go, where I got the feeling that maybe of the 2 groups next time we could have Katura and Kelly turning on Bruce. Maybe I don't know if they could be with like the Lulus, or maybe Kaleb's there. Maybe Kaleb wins that side's like immunity, so they can't go for Kaleb.
Yeah, I personally think that Kaleb will be winning that immunity. I feel
he's got to.
He has to. He really has to. I definitely agree with what you're saying about possibly going for Bruce. It honestly depends on what the tribe split is, what the merged tribe is split, how it's split. So I could definitely maybe see that. I feel like I could also see Sifu kind of just going out. I don't know that we don't know how he's going to perform in individual.
Yeah.
We don't know how anyone's going to perform really in individual. But I do kind of feel like maybe we could see Sifu heading out. If he doesn't head out this next episode, I think he will be going very, very far. So maybe something like that.
But there are a lot of advantages right now, well, like a handful of advantages in the game. And personally, I feel like this is a time where I would be most willing to just throw an advantage to like be safe.
Yeah.
I feel like this might be the best time for Drew to play his safety without power. Because I wouldn't blame him for doing that unless
just to also
like messed up your entire alliance's game.
I think that's probably a good take. I feel like you should do that, especially because you just don't want to, because then you don't have to try too hard in the first individual immunity. So if you feel like you actually be really good at challenges, this is actually very interesting, Ryan. Wow. The more I think about this, the more I'm kind of obsessed with it. If you think that you'll be good at individual immunities, you could just throw the first one and just flush an idol, guarantee your safety, showing that you're not actually a threat in the challenges when maybe you really are, and get you a little bit further in the game. That's actually incredibly interesting if you have like a surplus of advantages, at least that you know about.
It could also lead to maybe Austin or Kelly taking a shot at each other because they both have the amulet and they know if the other one's gone, I have an idol. And
will the sandwich come back to strike?
To Austin, that's 2 idols. He would have like 2 full-fledged idols.
That's really interesting. Great. We've got some great points there. We do have another question from Jay. Jay asks, how do you think the alliances will shake out going forward? I think Kaleb and Emily are in it for the long haul. I think they're in it. And I honestly feel like their bond is reminding me of Gabby and Christian Hubicki, not as overt as theirs, but like strong like that until it gets to 6-5-ish.
Yeah.
And then they'll turn. Or maybe they won't even have to. Maybe it'll just kind of
feels like
happen.
Somebody else will easily want to take that shot for them.
And I feel like it would benefit the other's game to have such a strong advocate on the jury because there's nobody else there that knew them before,
Oh, I would have also loved to have seen a scene where they talked to the Reba, I think it was the Reba people, about what happened with when Sean went home between the other 2 Lulus. Because that was the one tribal council that they have no knowledge of.
So interesting. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You think is that a secret scene? If that's a secret scene, let me know.
We'll have to go check it out.
We'll have to go check that out. We'll take a couple more questions. We got another one from Jay. Who would want to target Drew? No one seems to be targeting him enough such that he would need to use a safety without power. Yeah, that's a good point.
He could also I've always thought it'd be fun to try to get to if you have a safety without power to get somebody else to play it that would end up shifting the numbers in your favor without them knowing, because they would leave and not be able to vote. So one person might be gone from an alliance. But
convince them that they're going.
Yeah, but
that would be interesting.
Yeah, it's tricky.
That would be. That's a lot of it's like a balancing act. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I honestly don't know.
And it's also unnecessary too, kind of flashy.
I mean, sometimes if you've heard this from me multiple times. Tribal council is theater, so that's the time to be flashy, my man. Be flashy. Don't flash. Be flashy. But yeah, you're probably right. It's. No one is really targeting Drew, so why would he play it? That probably makes sense.
I'm not sure when the last time he has to play it, because I feel like the last I remember was maybe 10 or something like that. So he might only have a couple more times to play it, so it could be burning a hole in his pocket. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't love safety without power in general, but it's interesting. Chris asks, I was wondering what Ryan's favorite funny moment in the history of Survivor is.
Oh, I mean, I love moments that happen, especially the one in this past episode where you see something happening and then there's a scene right after that completely contrasts of them saying, we can't tell Kaleb, cut to her, be like, hey, Kaleb, I'm telling you. The one that I can think of is in Ghost Island. There's a scene with Dominic Abate and Chris Noble, and they're kind of talking to each other. I think Wendell is maybe mediating between them or something, and it cuts and it cuts back and forth to confessionals between Chris and like Dom, and they're like calling each other like idiots and stuff. I don't know, just like when the editors play with moments like that, that's what really gets me.
I do love a great editing moment that I loved, I thought was so funny, when they broke the fourth wall last season and they had Carolyn, like the producer was like talking to Carolyn, and it was just, I don't remember exactly what happened, but it was just like so chaotic and so amazing.
How do I even start this?
It's so funny. I love when they play with the editing too so much. So we do have another commercial, but when we come back from the commercial, we are going to be doing some awards as always, so stick around.
My name is Jonah Fielko, and I'm the CEO of Bracketology.tv, fantasy sports for reality television. We offer fantasy games for shows like The Bachelor, Survivor, Big Brother, RuPaul's Drag Race, and counting. You start by creating a community. Within your community, you can create a fantasy league for each show that you want to play fantasy games for. Within the league, you can choose up to 3 of our 4 game types, and our most popular is the Advanced League. Choose a team of contestants, and depending on what they do and say during the episode, that's how your team will gain or lose points each week. We also have elimination-style games like our Confidence Pool. This is where you choose how confident you are that each contestant will survive elimination that week. And we've also got March Madness-style brackets. Come back a couple hours after the episode to check your scores and watch you climb the leaderboard. Bracketology is free to play, so grab your friends, your family, your coworkers, and head to bracketology.tv for more info.
All right, and we're back. So as always, we like to end our episodes with giving away 2 very important, the most important awards of Survivor. Definitely not the title of Soul Survivor. That is for sure. This is more important. We're going to start with the classic, the social butterfly, the person that you think played the best social game, not overall game, social game of the episode. So what are your thoughts on this? What you're thinking? Let me know.
Well, the first thought is either Emily or Kaleb. And it's
always Emily or Kaleb.
And it's based on that alliance back on day 4, where they like helped each other out, like, or Kaleb like brought Emily in and said, hey, we could work together. Because that has like paid off like in so much. Like Emily like is invest in stock. She invested so well that she's like paying.
So did Kaleb.
Yeah,
they both invested really well. Yeah. So you're saying either Emily or Kaleb,
but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to go with Emily over Kaleb, because at the same time, Kaleb did it a little outward and too much that then everybody started looking at him.
Yeah. I would have to second that. I would also have to say Emily. Another reason why I would have to say Emily is because she is, she's keeping that alliance as under the radar as she possibly can. She voted for Kaleb, right? That I think is in and of itself, it's not that hard to do, right? It's probably hard to write down your like number one's name down, but she had to do it for her own game. And I think it was, that is a socially good move. I saw a lot of things over the week or over the last couple of days. People like, well, why didn't Emily just like throw a random name down, throw Jay's name down, throw anyone's name down, then anyone could have gone. But then they would have known that Emily and Kaleb are that much closer. Having Emily stick with the status quo against High School Musical's wishes and really keep it moving forward, I think is the best move for her, the best move there for their alliance, and a really good, socially smart game move right there. The fact that she didn't push too hard to keep Kaleb in the game, all of that good stuff lends itself to a really good social player in this like one aspect of the game, because she's keeping those ties very close. Oh,
especially when they had to revote, Jay Maya brought up Emily's name.
Yeah, she did.
But everybody else, like nobody was willing to go along with that, even though there was an original like beef that Bruce had with Emily, or Kendra at the beginning of the episode saying, I want to like come for her. They, despite all of that, they didn't. And it might be something that we're not seeing, but I guess there's something there that they believe in.
I totally agree. Emily, you're incredible. We love you. We love everyone else, but Emily is really killing it.
And a butterfly. She was a caterpillar at the beginning of this season, and she has like, look at those like monarch beautiful wings.
Yes.
Yeah.
We call her Monarch Emily, not Queen Emily, Monarch Emily. Now on to what was called by Maddie Palmilla the Mean Award, aka the driver of the social struggle bus. So this is going to be the person that you think played the social game that could use the most improvement in the future. I think that's a nice way to put it. So who do you think is playing that? Needs this award?
Well, I also feel Kaleb is one person I feel like I need to talk about with this, because where he like shined so bright, like everybody saw him. So, but then we also had Bruce, who said, nobody's talking to me. Bruce could have walked up to anybody and said, hey, you want to talk some strategy? Let's talk strategy. Yeah. And he was more of, I think I saw a comment earlier that I had mentioned, like when we watched the episode, that I felt Bruce seemed kind of jealous of Kaleb's how everybody wanted to like talk to him, and it seemed like Bruce thought that maybe that's what was going to happen to him, and when it didn't happen, he felt like, I don't know, a little defeated.
Yeah.
So that might have like kind of pulled him back from being able to socialize right there. But ultimately, I feel like I'm going to have to say Kaleb, because he got every single vote. Like not even like not even let's throw a couple of votes on Emily. Let's throw a couple of votes on J. Maya. It's let's put every single vote on this guy and hope the odds are in our favor.
Yeah. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. I think I'm going to have to go with my original instinct on this. And I think it's going to have to be Bruce for me. Not only because of, I think you made some really great points about Kaleb, but I low-key almost switched it. But I just feel like, there were things where he's like, no one's talking to me. He was like over on the side of the beach and he was like doing some like work or something. And I was like, well, why don't you go into the tribe camp and actually strike up some conversations? And he might have, and it's just, the edit isn't showing it to us. So
also like social anxiety, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. So, you have all of that, but also we didn't just hear a confessional from Katurah today about not wanting to work with Bruce. We heard it from Kelly, which is one of the first times we'd heard that, saying, quote, he's like a struggle to play with or whatever she said. So I feel like that could be, and I also feel like the fact that, and I know this isn't social and I shouldn't take it into account, but I'm going to, that he told everyone about his idol, even somebody that he turned and voted for. That's like Bruce. Ugh. And if you're going to tell people your idol, you have to be 100% certain that either you have to tell them, meaning that they caught you with the idol in your hand, or you want to tell them and you know that you are going to be continuing on with them. The fact that Kaleb is one of the people that he told about his idol, which then Kaleb then told Drew, Austin. That's something we forgot about. Kaleb told Drew, Austin, and then Drew and Austin probably told Dee and Julie. So now everyone except for who? Katurah?
Except for Katurah and maybe Jay.
And Sifu probably.
Yeah.
Don't know about his idol. That's a lot of people to know about an idol. So all of these things compound to make it so that I think Bruce is the person who has the most growth in his social game currently, in my opinion.
Oh, I need to remember something. I just remembered something from Jay's exit interview. So she was super convinced that Sifu had an advantage or an idol. And there was at one point where Sifu was like, hey guys, I have to go visit Coconut Grove. And for those of you who don't know, Coconut Grove is lingo for the players saying, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. So Jay thought, oh, he's going to go rehide his advantage that he found. So she came up on him digging at some point, and but like he didn't see, and she went in like after he left and dug where he was digging, and I guess you can imagine what she found in that, but she was not too happy, not too thrilled. The
She
producers
dug up his poop. She dug up his poop.
poop.
What? Why would they let her do that? I'm sorry. I really should have not yelled that so loud. It's just, I cannot. I can't. I won't. I shan't. And he shot. I don't know. Like that was no. Okay, that's crazy. That's literally crazy. So fun. Yeah, that happened. Wow. I'm reeling now. I'm reeling and I don't know what to say. So I guess the struggle bus is me right now. So Emily, congratulations. You won the Socials Butterfly of the Week. And it is let's break the tie in the comments. Is it a Bruce struggle bus, or do you think it is going to be, or would you prefer it to be a Kaleb? I think that there is a good way for both. I'm lost in my brain now after that. As always, I want to thank you, all of you, for tuning in to Survivor Social. It's so much fun. We have actually been thinking about talking about Survivor since about 3 p.m. today, and that's not even a joke. Earlier today, we had some friends over, and we played the Castaways game, which was so much fun. We hadn't played it before, and Castaways, and this is not an ad. I mean, it's just we just played it, and it's so fun to like talk about actual Survivor after we had essentially played Survivor. Ryan was in the final too.
It's so funny being there for a final tribal council when you're sitting with like a group of your friends and there's only like 3 people voting for you, but it feels like so serious, but like when you like think about it, it's so ridiculous.
It was so ridiculous, but it was so much fun. So we have had such a really amazing fun day talking about Survivor with all of you, with our friends, with just it's like so many vibes.
Bruce.
What?
They went with Bruce.
Oh, it seems like they went with Bruce for the struggle bus. But it's really such a pleasure to talk with you. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us and talking Survivor with us. It's so much fun. Next week, we will be back with David at our regular time, most likely, and maybe some special guests. So make sure to stay tuned. As always, make sure you follow Survivor Social on Instagram. Make sure you DM us or email us if you want to send in any questions for next week. Also follow Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify. Ryan, where can the people find you?
I don't really use my social medias, so you can just find me in real life, I
guess.
In
the world. Well, you can find me on social media. If you follow me, I'm on TikTok, Survivor_simulation. I post way too much there. And then I'm on Instagram, just at Tegwyth. And I love to talk Survivor with all of you lovely people. So thank you again so much for hanging out with us. It was so much fun talking to you. And thank you, Ryan, so much for joining us.
Yeah, it was great to be here.
Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Happy Survivor.